Day 95. Judges chapter 16, 17 and 18. There are seasons in life when everything looks powerful on the outside, yet something sacred is quietly slipping away within. Today we will encounter relationships built on manipulation, identity traded for approval, spiritual shortcuts, and a society where everyone does what feels right. But beneath these stories are what I call scripture whispers, quiet truths, easily overlooked, yet deeply transformative for anyone seeking God. We will begin with Samson and Delilah, where love becomes leverage. Then she said to him, "How can you say I love you when you won't confide in me?" This is not just a conversation, it's pressure dressed as intimacy. Samson was not defeated by enemies. He was undone by a space where he should have felt safe. The first lesson here is this: not every emotional demand deserves your vulnerability. In today's world, we are constantly encouraged to open up, to be transparent. And yes, vulnerability is powerful, but only in the right hands. Delilah didn't want connection, she wanted access. And many of us have experienced this. People who push for your secrets, not to protect you, but to control you. After putting him to sleep on her lap, she called for someone to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. The next whisper focuses on the truth about what you repeatedly tolerate will eventually weaken you. Samson didn't fall in a moment, he fell in stages. First, he entertained the questions. Then, he played with deception. Then, he stayed, even after seeing the pattern. Sometimes we think we are in control because we haven't fallen yet. But slow compromise is still compromise. And one day, strength quietly leaves. And his strength left him. Notice, it didn't say he felt it leave. Do you realize that you can lose spiritual strength without immediately realizing it? That is another whisper for today. You can still talk the same, still show up the same, still look strong to others. But inside, something sacred has shifted. Then comes the part we will call the blind strength. When consequences become clarity. Put me where I can feel the pillars. Samson, once led by strength, is now led by a servant. Once admired, now blinded. Once powerful, now dependent. And yet, this is where something changes. Sometimes clarity comes after collapse. When everything is stripped away, titles, strength, reputation, you finally see what truly matters. Samson's greatest prayer was not spoken in his strength, but in his brokenness. "Let me die with the Philistines." This was not just revenge, it was surrender. A final act that acknowledged God again. God can still use you, even after you've misused what He gave you. This is not permission to fall, but it is hope for those who have. Samson accomplished more in his final surrender than in many of his earlier victories. Why? Because this time, it wasn't about him. We move on to that part of history, when there was a generation without anchors. When everyone does what feels right. In those days Israel had no king. Everyone did as they saw fit. This line is more than history. It's a warning. It describes a society without direction, without accountability, without reverence. Sound familiar? When there is no standard, feelings become authority. Today truth is often replaced with preference. If it feels right, do it. If it makes you happy, it's fine. But feelings are unstable leaders. What feels right today may lead to regret tomorrow. Then Micah installed the Levite, and the young man became his priest. Micah didn't reject God completely, he just redefined how he wanted to approach him. He created his own version of worship, his own priest, his own system, his own convenience. It is possible to be spiritual, but not surrendered. Many people today believe in God, but want to engage Him on their own terms. I'll pray when I feel like it. I'll obey what makes sense to me. I'll adjust the truth to fit my lifestyle. But God is not a concept to customize. He is truth to be followed. Our next focus will be on the Levite. A scene that describes when calling becomes compromise. Be quiet. Don't say a word. Come with us. Isn't it better that you serve a tribe, rather than one man's household? The Levite had a calling. But he didn't have conviction. He moved where the offer was better, where the influence was greater, where the opportunity seemed bigger. Listen and learn this. It is not every upgrade that is God's will. In today's world we chase bigger platforms, higher recognition, better visibility, but growth without guidance can lead to destruction. The Levite chose position over purpose, and in doing so, he helped establish false worship. Lastly, we read of the idol that stayed. This is true depiction of how error becomes tradition. They continued to use the idol Micah had made, all the time the house of God was in Shiloh. This is one of the most sobering lines. The truth was available. The house of God was accessible. Yet they chose the idol, not because they didn't know better, but because it was easier. Convenience can keep you from truth, even when truth is within reach. Today, access to God is greater than ever. Bibles, teachings, sermons, communities. Yet many still settle for diluted truth, because it doesn't challenge them, because it doesn't require change. These chapters are not just stories of failure, they are mirrors. They show us what happens when love replaces discernment, strength replaces dependence on God, feelings replace truth, convenience replaces obedience, but they also reveal something powerful. Even in chaos, even in compromise, even in collapse, God is still present, still speaking, still waiting. Your story is not over just because you drifted, but returning requires truth, not excuses. If Samson could return in his final breath, if a broken generation could still be called back, then there is hope. Not in your strength, not in your systems, but in surrender. Take a moment today. Ask yourself, where have I been pressured into revealing what should be protected? Where have I normalized compromise? Where have I replaced truth with convenience? And most importantly, am I truly seeking God, or just a version of Him that fits my life? Because real strength is not in what you can carry, it's in what you refuse to compromise. Listen closely, the scripture is still whispering.